Hey, it's Doug with Backcountry Pilgrim. Today I am out in the woods the day after a big rain to see if I can start a fire with just this. Before seeing whether or not I can actually get a fire started in this wet environment with just this knife and fire tools, let me go over the features of the CacheBlade. To start off with, the Zerco CacheBlade is a full-tang fixed blade knife with a hidden handle storage for small survival items, or Zerco's innovative fire accessories specially designed to work with this Bushcraft knife. The knife's dimensions are 8 inches long overall, with a 4.5-inch handle and a 3.5-inch, 4mm thick blade. The contoured handle's widest point is 22 millimeters or 0.85 inches. The drop point blade is a wicked sharp M390 super steel, available in either a polished or stone-washed finish and hardened to 62 HRC. It comes razor sharp right out of the box, and on the top of the spine you've got some light jimping to help with your grip. The storage compartment is hidden behind a quick access, toolless, removable G10 composite scale, available in a variety of colors. To remove the scale and get to the storage, you simply flip the lever on the bottom and slide the scale off. It goes back on very easily as well, and it should be noted that the scales make the storage compartment fairly waterproof, but even if the knife gets submerged, the stainless steel storage capsule will remain watertight. Zerco offers 3 different fire accessories for the CacheBlade. One is the waterproof stainless steel container that I just talked about, which is the perfect size for Zerco's specially made tinder, which is very easy to light and will stay lit for up to 5 minutes. Or you could swap it out completely for a water and wind resistant peanut style lighter. If you want both, the lighter can simply be added to a keychain. To the knife with its included storage, you can also attach a ferro rod to the sheath. The sheath is a thermopolymer build with a soft loop mount system that is MOLLE compatible. It's very easy to attach this to a belt, a PAL system, or modify it to carry in other ways. Retail on the CacheBlade with the included sheath is $299. The stainless steel cache container is $10. The lighter is $15. And you can get a packet of 10 tinders for $5. Finally, if you wish to add a ferro rod, it's $20 and comes with the sheath mount. Check the video description below for links to all of these items. But now it's time to see what I can do with the Zerco CacheBlade. Building a fire from found materials after a storm isn't easy, even for an experienced bushcrafter. And I am not an experienced bushcrafter. The day before I planned to test out the Zerco CacheBlade, it rained, leaving the area soaking wet. This would be a bigger challenge than I had expected. I started the day off by almost losing my ferro rod. I had mounted the sheath upside down for ease of knife retrieval and to test how well it held the knife in place. It did fine. But I forgot that I had the rod upside down too, and it was not quite tight enough to hold it upside down. Now, I was going to give a silly pro tip about making sure you flip the ferro rod over if you decide to mount the knife this way, but then the owner of Zerco gave me an actual pro tip, which was that the band around the ferro rod is meant to go around the sheath holder so that it will not fall out whichever way you mount it. Pretty cool. The sheath did hold the knife quite well. In fact, it took quite a bit of effort to get it to let go of the knife without using the proper grip. As I hiked, I found some potential tinder and wet moss and pocketed it to help it dry out as I hiked. The mesh pockets on my Outdoor Vitals Altura Dynamic Pants helped here. Now, the rain made for a lush, spongy walk, but not one that promised much in the way of fire potential. At one point, I found a nice bark base for my fire experiment. I did find some taller growth that had shed its water a bit faster than the ground cover, but even it was still moist. Fortunately, my honed bushcraft senses detected a subtle fuel source that inexperienced outdoorsmen would have probably missed. This allowed me to collect a few drier pieces. I finally found a suitable location for my experimental fire. It was also wet. Even the dead branches of nearby trees didn't have that nice dry snap I was listening for. Looking around, I finally managed to get a small collection of pocket moss, weeds, and sticks to start processing. I found a good location for my fire in a boulder that had a nice muddy bowl on the top to hold my tinder and block the wind somewhat. I wasn't looking to start a campfire in this area due to fire restrictions. I just wanted to see if I could get one started at all. I started stripping the wet bark off of my sticks and tried to get down to the drier core of the larger ones. I found that this wood was a bit too moist for a useful feather stick, and I wasn't trying to spend hours on fuel processing, so I just went for a quick little tinder pile. Also, I suck at making feather sticks. I protected my pile of wet tinder from the wetter mud with a wet piece of bark. Then I added my weeds and got a few shavings off the driest sticks I had. I wanted to use the most basic fire tools in the CacheBlade system, so instead of the cache lighter, I got out the ferro rod and the cache tinder I had brought in my cache container. I shredded a layer of the waxy cache tinder, then cut the piece in half to be added later if necessary. Then I added half of the half I had shredded to the tinder pile as a primer. This was the first time I had used the ferro rod, so it took a few scrapes to remove the coating, but once I did, the third pull ignited the tinder. It burned well and got the weeds flaming quickly. I added the moss, hoping the flame would dry any remaining moisture and light it up. Continued white smoke told me that there was probably still a high moisture content in the fuel, so I tried to get another layer dried out, but I think I smothered my little fire in doing so. So I put in the other half of my tinder, sparked it to life with the ferro rod, and then tried to use the ensuing flame to dry out the additional moss. For a while it looked like it would take, but it mostly just smoked out. The cache tinder burned and burned though. If I had better fuel, it definitely would have done the job. But after a few minutes of the fuel just not having it, I decided the experiment was a success for the CacheBlade fire system, even if it was not a success for my bushcraft skills. So I soaked the pile out and returned the location to its former state. I'd like to thank Zerco very much for sending me the CacheBlade. It is one of the most impressive pieces of gear in my arsenal. A finely constructed blade, and a lot of fun to practice bushcraft skills with. I hope you have found value in this video. If you have, why don't you give it a like and subscribe to Backcountry Pilgrim if you are into hiking, camping, backpacking, and the gear that goes with it. Until next time, I am Doug. Thanks for watching.